little, they're scheming in the night, selling out our freedoms for a pocket full of spite. From the border to the heartland, the wolves are at the door, twisting truth and tearing down what our fathers fought before. But I'm a Patriot Source, standing tall and true, with a Bible in my hand and Old Glory flying blue. Ain't apologizing for loving this land. We'll fight the forces of evil with fire in our stand. God bless the USA, we'll never back down. Patriots for freedom, wearing that crown.
Man, the back office production team has really outdone themselves. Did you guys see all the new bells and whistles? Holy
It's
moly.
legit.
This looks fantastic. So for those of you guys, a little bit of behind the scenes production stuff. All weekend, Nam and the back office team, guarding the grid, Clipmaster Jake, while SK and I were just farting around, cutting grass and doing other stuff, they were literally reshaping and redesigning the entire layout of this program. And they did a fantastic, give us just a glimpse of what all you guys were working on. Mostly the back office production team. I know you were.
I don't want to take any credit for it. No, these guys, Maga Jake, guarding the grid, they did all the work, and they basically told us about it last night, because I wasn't working on this all weekend. I went back to trying to put a fence up after I chopped part of my finger off, like literally chopped part of my finger off last week. So if those of you haven't seen it yet, the reason
I want to see pictures.
You want to see pictures? All right.
Yeah, I think everybody chat. Do you guys want to see a picture of Nam's missing fingertip? Look at that.
Yeah. So ring finger, left hand, basically the entire fingernail area, all of that is now gone, taken by a table saw. So that was Wednesday, which I was prepared to come on the show, and then because we were putting stuff together. And then I had to text everybody. I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not going to do that. I just cut my.
Oh, but tell them how you told us.
I don't remember how I told you.
You text us a picture of yourself, your legs and feet with the ambulance in the background. And we were like, oh my God, what happened? What's going on? I didn't even see the text before that. I just saw the photo.
Yeah.
And we were all like, what's going on?
The message we get from Nam is, hey guys, don't think I'm going to make it tonight. I just cut half my finger off. And we're like, what?
He didn't say half. He said the tip, and I said just the tip.
And then the SK went on. That went on for days. Just the tip. Yeah, just the tip.
So
anyway,
so what's
the
life lesson? What's the life lesson here, Nam? What's the life lesson?
The lesson is listen. I've worked with these tools for a long time. Table saws, miter saw, all these things, and I consider myself to be semi close to a professional. And I got complacent. I was making cuts all day long, building a fence. There's things I'm trying to attach wrought iron fence panels to wooden posts. And at the end of the day, I was just rushing through it. And I tried to do too small a piece because I didn't want to start a new piece. And I just did something stupid. I feel more dumb than anything, frankly, at this point. It was just stupid. Respect these tools, folks. Don't mess around with them, because they will win those fights every time.
Hey, Pasto, you're in timeout.
Hold on. My cousin lost his booger hook on a table saw.
To a table saw.
From Tim S. Yeah. That was
all right. So back to the point. So no, I wasn't working on all of the graphics and stuff. I mean, Maga Jake and guarding the grid. These are the guys that are killing this stuff.
Hold on.
They're doing a great job. They just showed us last night.
Hold on.
Knob de plume.
So the Amazing Taurus says, so does that make Nam knob de plume? I think it does.
I don't know how that translates in French, but nom de plume, as you guys know, means a screen or pen name or anonymous.
K Paso said that just the tip game is a trick always.
It never works. Never ever. Anyway,
back to the show.
Hold on. We've got to first. I got to remove this out. Got to bring this up. So you'll notice up here in the corner, we've got a little QR code, folks, because Mag and Jake put together a big old beautiful link tree for us. So all of our links for all of our stuff is out there. It's now available. You guys can see it. Patriot Source Network. And this is for us and the girls on the Red Wave Unfiltered, right? So all the links you can, and I believe you can even download, you can get access to the original songs that Guarding the Grid is creating for us. Images, there's the Red Wave Unfiltered, the back end production team. You can click down into all of these things like Nam. You can get all of our links. PatriotDad, this is his X and TikTok and Instagram and SK, and then even me down here, all of my things. And then we've got the same for the girls, so you can get all of their links, all that stuff.
Before you leave, can you click on the PatriotDad TikTok profile real quick? See where that takes you. Can you do that? Because I think this is actually taking people to my backup account, which is probably. Okay, that's not. Well, by the way, if you're looking for PatriotDad on TikTok, you're probably going to have to start following my backup account because TikTok and I are in a little bit of a fight right now. I maybe share some of those details a little bit later, but I got an account warning today. I got an account warning and I am pissed about it. Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead, Nam.
Yeah, I mean, then we got the overlay here. This is super cool. Background, you see the American flag. So there's a lot of great stuff coming. We've got new audio, new videos that have become. Hey, by the way, we're not going to show it to you yet, but if PatriotDad ever makes the mistake again of leaving SK and I unsupervised at an after hours, just wait, because we've got some great audio for that.
It's great.
We've heard it, but I'm not going to show it to you. We're going to have to talk PatriotDad to sit out one night.
I wish we could have recorded his face while he sat and listened to it while Nam and I were jamming out.
I'll show you the unsupervised audio face of PatriotDad.
That's what he did the whole time. And I said, we have to play this so we can see his reaction on the podcast.
It's pretty fun.
They need shirts. Really the Amazing Torah. We talked about this on Sunday. We had a little production team meeting yesterday evening. We're working on it. We're going to find, I think Mag and Jake has got a company that can drop ship. PatriotDad and I are very, very particular on like the material of t-shirts and hats, right? There's a reason why you've never seen me wear a red Make America Great Again hat, because I think they look stupid on your head. Like they look
stupid on your head. They look good on some people's head, just not our head. They don't fit. Not our head.
So we got to make sure that it's the right stuff, the right material, and then we'll do it.
I am so picky. Well, first of all, I haven't gotten out of my pajamas today because I didn't have any reason to. And I didn't want to get dressed. So I put a sweatshirt on over my pajamas, but they're 100% cotton.
If your goal is to hide your pajamas, the last thing you should do is come on to a podcast where thousands of people are going to be watching over the next couple of weeks and announce that you're wearing pajamas under your sweatshirt.
You know what? I don't care. I've got pajamas on under my sweatshirt and they're super cute. So
that's the last thing. All right, folks, for those of you guys listening at home, this is the Patriot Source Podcast. As you know, we are on the Patriot Source Network, which includes us and the Red Wave Unfiltered ladies. And maybe one of these days we'll think about how we can expand that further. But you got SK over there. There's SK, the world famous researcher, the one that's bringing down the entire deep state NGO apparatus with some of her friends. And then you've got Knob de Plume down here. You know, the one who's missing a bit of the tip. It's missing. And I'm PatriotDad, as you guys know. But I think it's going to be a fun show today. And I think one of the problems that I struggle with is we don't do shows every day. So sometimes when things happen in the media, like you want to talk about it in the moment. So I make a lot of short form content around it. And then by the time I get to the podcast, I'm like, I've kind of talked about all the stuff that's interesting. So we're probably
not. So is everybody else.
And so is everybody else. So we're probably not going to spend a ton of time talking about the same things that everybody else is talking about. We're probably not going to show you, the video of the would-be assassin, maybe just from a slightly different perspective. But we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about a lot of the hoaxes that were running around this weekend, because it's important that we expose these idiots for the crap they're doing. And you cannot have a failed assassination attempt in this country without having a whole bunch of dumb leftists to drag all over the internet. So we've got a couple of really stupid people that said really stupid things over the last few days that we might just make fun of a little bit. Did you guys see that the IRGC, the Iranian revolutionary losers, have come to the table with a proposal?
No.
Because you guys didn't see that?
Well, that's news to me.
Yeah. Well, there's a reason for it, because literally their entire economy is like days away from collapse. So we're going to spend some time talking about that. We've got, what else do we have?
They are currently burning off the natural gas right now.
Yeah.
Because they don't have any way to store it.
They're in trouble.
They've got 2 weeks. They have basically had 2 weeks to figure something out because they can't store this stuff.
They have 2 days.
They have 2 days left.
2 days left.
Yeah.
2 days left.
2 weeks was a while ago.
Donald Trump is one of the most strategic-minded people to ever step foot in the White House. And while people are running around this country pretending like this guy is an idiot and doesn't know what he's doing, this ceasefire was, yes, designed to halt kinetic attacks on the Iranian infrastructure, because we know that the Iranian infrastructure is going to need to be in place so that when the IRGC finally submits and they allow the Iranian people to come outside of their homes, they're going to need something to rebuild on top of. But that never meant that Donald Trump was done. It never meant that we were backing away. Instead, what he was doing is he was building a blockade around all the Iranian ports. And why would he do that? Well, it's very simple. The Iranian economy was on the verge of collapse before this even started. I mean, we're talking like 100% inflation year over year. Their GDP has collapsed by almost 40% just right out of the gate. Can you imagine a 40% collapse in your nation's GDP? I mean, that's incredible. Yeah. But really what he was doing is he was starving their ability to ship out the oil that they produce. And what happens when you can't move oil? Well, you have to store it somewhere. And we're going to spend some time kind of talking about what Scott Besson has been doing with Epic Fury and the impact that's having on the Iranian economic fury. Sorry. What he's doing on the economic front to literally destroy their entire stranglehold on that country. And it's been epic to watch. I mean, we're right now about 2 days away from long-term, possibly permanent damage to Iran's ability to actually pump oil out of the ground. Like if they don't get something fixed, if they don't get the straits up and running in the next 2 days, they could permanently damage their ability to produce oil the way they need to sustain.
Yeah, you can't just turn these pumps off. You can't, because if you may not ever get them started again.
That's right.
You can't just shut them down.
Do you want to know what their offer was to the United States? Do you want to know how delusional these people are?
What?
So, number one, in the war, they want to secure guarantees against a resumption of the war for Iran and Lebanon, lift the U.S. blockade and unfreeze assets. And then number two, Strait of Hormuz management. They want to reopen the strait under a new legal framework involving passage fees in Iran's currency, and they want restrictions on hostile U.S. Israeli vessels and IRGC oversight of the strait. And they claim they still control the strait. And they don't even want to discuss the nuclear program until after number one and number two are locked in and abiding by it.
Yeah, no. Well, if they controlled the straits, then they wouldn't be burning off their oil right now. Yeah, they wouldn't be burning their excess oil and storing it on dilapidated tankers outside of Karg Island. Is it Karg Island? Is that what it's called? Karg Island.
Yeah.
Because folks, they know this. Everybody in the oil industry knows that as soon as they run out of storage for the oil they're producing, they have to stop producing oil. And you can't just turn these oil rigs off. If you turn them off, you start to deal with chemical erosion. You start to deal with moisture getting into the pipelines, and it destroys your ability, possibly permanently, to be able to pump oil out of the ground. They know that. They're in big trouble, which is probably why when Donald Trump was supposed to send his negotiators over to Pakistan over the weekend, just said, yeah, we're not going. We don't really need to. As a matter of fact, I think, Nam, we have can you show the True Social post that he put out? I don't know if I have it labeled in here yet. It's, yeah, there it is. It's Iran collapse, Trump. Can you pull that up? I think people need to see this if they haven't seen it already, just so you can understand the perspective that the Trump administration is taking right now. It says, I just canceled the trip of my representatives going to Islamabad, Pakistan to meet with the Iranians. Too much time wasted on traveling, too much work. Besides which, there is tremendous infighting and confusion within their leadership. Nobody knows who is in charge, including them. Also, we have all the cards. They have none. If they want to talk, all they have to do is call President Donald J. Trump. Does that sound like somebody who is anxious to get something done, or does that sound like somebody who realizes he has all the leverage, and at this point, he's going to wait?
He's just running out the clock. They are going to be financially destroyed in the next couple of days. And somebody said that Trump made a statement, because you guys know that King Charles is here. He got here today. Somebody made a statement saying he was going to wait until King Charles leaves to attack. Even if he said that, I don't see Trump caring at all whatsoever what happens while King Charles is here, because the United States does not care what King Charles has to say, and we haven't had to care since 1776.
Well, that may not entirely be true. Now, you and I haven't cared, but the reality is the globalists that have controlled our government for decades has absolutely cared, and they've taken the direction of the City of London for decades. And I would not put it past Donald Trump to have King Charles sitting in the Oval Office at the same time he's on the phone telling him to go ahead and start striking things again.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. He's not going to wait and be like, oh, we can't do this now. We have to wait for King Charles to leave. He doesn't give a shit.
He would do it with him in the room just to spite him, just to make sure that the king knows you're not in charge anymore. We're in charge.
Exactly. So even if he said that, I wouldn't count on that being the actual plan.
No,
guys, King Charles is not our king. Trump is our king. We have King Trump. Trump is our king, not King Charles. Our king is better than their king.
I don't know. Well, if you ask Donald Trump whether or not he's a king, like Norah O'Donnell tried to do on 60 Minutes last night, he'll straight up tell you, if I was a king, I wouldn't be dealing with your ass right now.
I can't believe she went through a whole list of these alleged crimes and read them out loud like they were fact. I mean, this is the problem. This is one of the problems in this country.
Yeah. It is. And we literally just watched the culmination of this problem happen on Saturday night.
It's why we titled this episode the way we did. Assassination culture is a feature. It's not a bug. Mm-hmm. It is a feature of the system they have been building directly and specifically for the last 10 years, but indirectly really for the last several decades.
Would you like to know who has yet to come out and make statements talking about how we need to depolarize our political speech and we need to have speech with dignity and less contempt of speech and be able to disagree better? Do you want to take any guesses on who has yet to come out and make a statement?
Tim Schreiber. He hasn't made a statement yet, has he? The Dignity Index people.
Dignity Index. Neither one of them have made a statement, which I find absolutely wild. If your entire NGO is built upon these beliefs and you mobilize the way that you did immediately following Charlie Kirk's assassination, why so quiet? I mean, was it something I said?
No, never mind the fact that not a single, actually, I take that back. One Democrat, an obscure elected Democrat, said, can we please stop trying to kill the president? And you know what the Democrats, the rest of them all said? No, we're not. No. In fact, not only are we not going to stop, we're going to pretend like we're not doing it while we keep doing it.
Oh, no. Hakeem Jeffries came out and doubled down on his statements.
He tripled down. Again. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, like they want some civil conflict happening.
It is a feature. It is not a bug. Do you guys know what I mean when I say it's a feature, not a bug? It's kind of like this corporatist language to, if you design something and it operates the way that you expect it to, and that thing is actually a feature. It's not like an error or a mistake that was made. So when you design an entire political platform that does nothing but create violent political rhetoric, and you have a manifesto show up the day after someone tries to assassinate the president of the United States and his cabinet, and the manifesto reads exactly like the Democrat Party talking points and the Democrat Party fundraising campaign emails they send out, That is a feature. It is not a bug. It's not a bug. It's not a mistake when a manifesto looks exactly like the headlines that you read in the major media. When somebody is immersing themselves 100% of their time in the lunatic radicalism of blue sky, and they write in their manifesto the exact same language that you see on blue sky day in and day out, that's a feature. The manifesto is a feature. It's not a bug.
When you're retweeting people like JoJo from Jers, that's a problem.
Did you see JoJo from Jers got her ass handed to her by Jack Posobiec today?
I did.
I have that video, and I may try to pull that over if you guys want to give me a second, because it is brilliant. Brilliant the way he handled her. Maybe I don't know. We'll see.
She was losing it in real time. She's like, this is the first I've heard of this, but are you blaming me? Are you saying it's my fault?
Yes.
I'm blaming you. I'm blaming all of you. In fact, I mean, listen, we're at the point with this assassination culture that literally any one of these people all over social media that are making these threats could very likely be the next would-be assassin. I mean, they're fucking all over the place.
Well,
they're all over the place.
I mean, let's be honest. 99.6% of them are just too big of pansies to actually do it, but there is a small number of that will, and that could, and that probably will try it.
You'd be surprised. The guy that did the pew viewing, sorry, I've been on TikTok for like the last week. The guy that shot the two Israeli embassy people in DC leaving the Jewish museum, remember? That guy used to come in my lives.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
And this is another reason why I think it's very important that regardless of how you feel and what you think about what happened on Saturday, right? Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless of what you think or where the failures happened or if failures happened, whatever. I don't think it's the best for everyone to be sitting around talking about the vulnerabilities and where these loopholes are, because the crazies are in your TikTok lives. They are watching your videos. They are listening to your podcasts. They are doing all of these things, and all you're doing is giving them ideas and telling them all of the information that they need to know.
Well, I want to push back, not on you, SK. I want to push back on the premise that there were security failures here. I mean, there were different layers of security. This was a public hotel. There's over 1,000 hotel rooms there, right? And the Secret Service's job is to create increasingly tighter and tighter boxes of security as you get closer to the president, especially the vice president and their protectees. This guy was stopped at basically the external security checkpoint at the magnometers. I mean, he tried to run through them and he was stopped. He was literally on a different floor. Like, he would have had to have gotten through all of that, raced all the way through it, run down the steps, turned a corner, and then deal with another box of security before he even got into the room. And then however many different layers of security there was before that happened. I think security actually did exactly what it was supposed to do.
Listen, I've gotten a lot of pushback from people on TikTok from our side because I've said he was stopped on a floor above. He didn't even get into the room. So yes, they did their job. Also, DHS isn't being funded because Congress isn't doing their damn job. Everybody needs to be focused on telling Congress to do their damn job and fund Secret Service. They need communications that are going to work 100% of the time. We saw what happened with communications in Butler. There are lots of things that need to be fixed. I'm not saying it's perfect, but we need to get the funding, number one. Number two, if there was any type of failure, if they needed to move the perimeter out further, whatever, if Secret Service, they have to declare this event a national security issue like they do with the Super Bowl and the Olympics. This is an actual declaration that has to take place in order for Secret Service to take over security at an event like this. That didn't happen. It doesn't usually happen for an event like this. But Secret Service does their job and they make sure the perimeter around their protectees is safe. And that's exactly what they did. We can discuss the outer perimeters and where we think it should have been, but Secret Service wasn't 100% in control of all these things because it was not declared in NS. I don't want to say NSA because I don't think that's right, but it's NS something, which is, you can look it up. It's what they do for the Super Bowl, for the Olympics, for all those types of events. That's what they do, so that Secret Service is in control of security. So they're going to have to do that for this next event coming up. And then in their planning stage, they can then move the perimeter out and they can make all the changes that need to be made. But in the meantime, I don't think it's great to sit around talking about any sort of lapses in security that people perceive to have taken place. I just don't think it's a great idea.
Well, you know, just so you guys know, I am not one of those influencers. None of us are those content creators that are in the White House influence chat threads that everyone's being accused of being a part of. But it is not incorrect to say that if we had a ballroom outside the White House, this would not happen. It's not inaccurate to say that at all.
Do you know why? Hold on. Do you guys know why they haven't built a ballroom?
Oh, you got to show this. Yes.
Do you guys know why? Do you guys in the chat, do you know why we've not built a ballroom yet?
Wait for the answer. I want to see, how many of you guys know why we have not been able to build a ballroom? This is going to blow your freaking mind when you see this.
Dog lady, that's right, Kate Pasta. Dog lady. This woman right here was able to convince a judge that the ballroom was ugly and she didn't like looking at it as she walked her dog by the White House every morning. And the freaking federal district court judge is like, oh yeah, stop construction of the most secure ballroom on the planet, because the judge cited but first of all, why do these women why do they always look like this? They chose this liberal dog walker over national security. Why do they always look like that?
They don't mean dog walking like I do, for the record. She actually walks a dog.
Yeah, she's actually, and I guarantee you it is a tiny little itty bitty fluffy little stupid thing. It's not an actual dog.
It's probably a Bichon or a Pomeranian. Something
like that. But because she didn't want to see, which, I mean, if have you seen the renderings of what this thing's going to look like? It is gorgeous. Absolutely stunningly gorgeous. But
you have one of the top real estate developers on the planet in charge of it. It's going to be absolutely gorgeous. There is Jerusalem tile floors in the ballroom at Mar-a-Lago. It's going to be amazing.
Look, these monsters don't care about the stupid ballroom. The only thing they care about is trying to slow down literally every aspect. Even they're out there throwing a temper tantrum right now because Donald Trump wants to clean up Mirror Lake. Did you guys see that?
He did clean it up.
Well, he's cleaning it up right now. Right.
Yeah.
So there was a previous allocation of $300 million allocated to clean up Mirror Lake. And I saw a live on TikTok the other day where somebody was showing the actual video footage of what Mirror Lake looks like. It literally looks like flesh-eating bacteria all throughout the lake. It's disgusting. And these people are so hard up on finding just something they can do to stop Donald Trump that they're throwing a temper tantrum because he doesn't want to spend $300 million and instead wants to spend $1.5 million. Like, that's how they're life losers. That's all they are. They're life losers. They do nothing but live to try to be a boil on the ass of humanity. They are that thing that hurts on your butt when you scratch it too long and you sit down. That's what they are. A boil on the butt of humanity.
You guys,
what is a boil? What actually is a boil? And
put that picture of dog. Put that picture of dog lady up, and I'll show you what a boil looks like.
I already got rid of her.
All right. So there was somebody in the comments, that a bunch of people that had not yet heard Jack Posobiec wrecking JoJo from Jurors. So I think we should play that just because it is that good. Did you take it ready? Now? Yeah, it's right here.
No.
Here we go. All right. Add to the stage. Hold on. Let me try this again.
You just screen share it?
Yeah, I'm screen sharing it. Okay, here we go. Okay, so we're going to screen share this from my X account. Let me know if you guys can hear it.
Also, Jack, I'm sorry, but to draw the line between Kimmel's comedic routine,
pause 1
the
second,
natural progression,
so people
which is
can
what
know
you
this
said,
before.
the logical progression of listening to a comedian, and then.
Okay, what are we pausing?
Okay, it's important for everyone to understand this woman is allegedly dating George Conway. Kellyanne Conway's ex-husband, one of the people involved with the Lincoln Project, the person that got Eugene Carroll, her attorneys. That's who this is.
That's right. All right, let's start this over again real quick. I haven't listened to the whole clip. I just saw like the last minute of it. So I'm not responsible for anything else that's said here, but here we go.
Also, Jack, I'm sorry, but to draw the line between Jimmy Kimmel's comedic routine and the natural progression, which is what you said, the logical progression of listening to a comedian and then traveling across the country with firearms to murder members of Donald Trump's cabinet, it is absolutely on its face insane.
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question.
The right to free speech all the time. I just want to finish this
point.
Let
me ask you a question to respond. So do you
think? Let me finish the point, and then you can.
You finish your point. Do you remember in 2024 when you called for Joe Biden to nullify the 2024 election?
What are you talking about? We're talking about the shooting right now.
Do you remember in 2024 when you called for Joe Biden to nullify the results of the election?
What you're trying to do is obviously you said you're trying to change the subject.
I'm not actually. Do you remember that? Yes or no?
We're not. Why do you always bring up Joe Biden? You're like a broken record.
Joe Biden. Your comments
Who's
on
the president now? Why do you always come on here and talk about Joe Biden? Why are we talking about Joe Biden?
I'm not bringing this up for no reason.
Did my comments incite someone to go with a firearm across the country and try to kill people and allegedly try to kill people in Trump's cabinet?
Because the killer shared your post calling to nullify the results of the 2024 election. I have it right here on his archive account.
So she's responsible for the killing.
Are you trying to attribute what happened? Are you Jack? Be very fucking careful right now, asshole. Are you trying to insinuate? Excuse me. If you are trying to draw a line between me and what happened,
I'm not drawing a line. He drew the line.
Then what you just said is extremely irresponsible. So what?
He decided to take your words into action.
Okay, how many times have you retweeted? How many times have you shared Donald Trump's rhetoric? How many, Jack?
Okay, folks, you get the point. The point here is that when an assassin shows up to assassinate the president of the United States and has a manifesto, and that manifesto reads exactly like the posts and the rhetoric and the political violent speech that these people continuously spew all over the place, and you put it in their face and say, you are the reason why people are trying to kill the president of the United States, they don't know how to handle it. JoJo has no idea how to handle it. She has no clue.
No, because they've been pointing the finger. I debated every single day for over a year. They've been pointing the finger. They've been pointing at things like J6, talking about, like he just pointed out. I think it's great that that's the tweet that he reposted, because all we've heard from the left is J6, Donald Trump trying to, make people question the elections and, trying to overturn a democratically elected president and, blah, 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 blah. They've been pointing the finger. When they get confronted with facts and they absolutely lose it every single time. It is predictable. I know exactly what to say to a liberal to make them absolutely crash out. They threaten to hurt you. They wish all the ill on you after they sit up there and talk about how they're Christian and so accepting. I tell them I'm Native American. They immediately turn into a racist. It's so easy. They don't know how to respond when their inconsistencies are pointed out. They have no idea how to do it.
Well, can I just point out
it's not that they don't know how to respond. They know what they're doing. Right. JoJo knows what she's doing. It's a feature. It's not a bug, like PatriotDad has been saying. They understand this, right? The reason why you only saw one Democrat come out in the wake of this thing and say, can we please stop trying to kill the president, is because the rest of them will be just fine if President Trump is killed. They'll be excited. They will be excited. In fact, we know that they will celebrate when it happens. Again, feature, not a bug. And all of these talking heads, all the people in the media, everybody that was actually hiding under the tables, not the Trump admin dudes who were standing up alert, ready to go. We've got all the pictures. We've got it all. But all the rest of the beta males that were literally hiding under the tables are the ones that would be elated to watch President Trump die. They would. So they actually hope somebody will be successful. They hope someone will sneak by, someone will do it. I know that because they tell us every single day, I hope someone does it today. Today's the day. I'm going to celebrate. here's free beer from an entire brewery the day that President Trump is assassinated.
And this is the difference between the right and the left. I never one time have ever wished any harm on someone from the left. I point out every day, these are actual people that have lives outside of politics. They have families and hobbies and friends and a life outside of politics. We have to bring humanity back to these people. I don't know how we're going to get the left to see humanity in politicians and people in our government, but you have to start seeing these people as people. I cannot imagine wishing harm on Joe Biden. As a matter of fact, I felt nothing but empathy for the guy because I felt like it was elder abuse, what his family and the people in the administration were doing to him, pushing him out on a stage, knowing he was incapable of even reading a teleprompter. That is not okay. Just like Mitch McConnell. What are we doing? Why do we have a guy that's glitching out, falling down? He has no idea where he is. And yet, until recently, he was the head of the most important committees in the entirety of Congress.
I think he's still in charge of the Rules Committee, isn't he? Isn't he the one
they
who's...
took him off of like budget or one of the big ones. They took him out of the chair position. But I mean, you guys, Kay Granger was missing for months. She was in a memory care center in Dallas. Where is Maxine Waters? Has anybody seen Maxine Waters asking for a friend? Is she okay? Do we know if she's okay?
Did you guys see the video of Rosario DeLuca get destroyed today by Lee Zeldin? Did you guys see that video?
Yes, it was great.
Can we pull that up? Do you have it?
Oh, yeah, I've got it. Yeah.
Okay, before you do that real quick, I just want to respond. SK made a point. When are we going to be able to get these leftists to understand that humanity needs to be re-injected back in our political process? The reality, SK, and I'm sorry, I hate to say this to you, is that it's not going to happen. We are dealing with the most radical, demonically inspired group of people probably to ever live on this planet at this point. It's disgusting how evil some of these people are. There is very little redeeming qualities. I'm sure Jesus could find some here and there, but I'm a human being and I'm having a hell of a hard time finding anything redeeming about most of these people. They don't care. They care only about power, and they are willing to crush and destroy anything and everything in their way to obtain it. And that doesn't just mean the rank and file blue sky morons. We're talking about the top echelon of the Democrat Party. The people who are legacy Democrats are just as evil as the rank and file Democrats. We've got James Carville, of all people. Did you see this? Can I show this real quick, Nam? Just this. It's like 12 seconds. Look at this. Look at this.
I do not want that man to die. I want to watch him suffer. And I can't watch a dead person suffer. So I want him to be fully cognizant come November. So when people tell him.
And that's one of the more subdued clips of him recently. The guy has lost his ever-loving mind. These people are not right in the head. There is something seriously wrong with them.
But
they're not.
Oh, go ahead.
They're not right in the head because they don't actually read any of these laws. They don't read any of these documents. They don't read these charging documents. They didn't read the Epstein files. They didn't read any of this stuff. They just want to pretend to be outraged, and then they just ratchet it up. Because they weren't mad enough today, no one actually killed Trump. So let's make them more mad tomorrow, so someone actually tries to kill Trump. Well, tomorrow they didn't get it done. Let's make up some other nonsense and some other bullshit. These people all they want is power, and they don't care how they get it.
What's going to happen if they're successful? What do they think is going to happen if they're successful?
We watched what would happen. We just watched the entire operation that was the fake Biden administration. We watched what happens when they're successful.
No. Right? I mean, if they successfully assassinate the president or any member of his cabinet, do they think that it's just going to be like, no big deal? Did they seriously?
They have plans that they want to implement. They want a revolution and they need something to spark it. And what better to get the right really pissed at the left than to assassinate, especially publicly, the president of the United States?
It's not going to go well. I did a video on this the other day. I'm going to tell you if folks like Patriot Dad and I, and maybe SK's husband, SK, you stay home. If we and I see a bunch of Marines and Second Amendment up here in the chat, all of you guys, I'm going to tell you right now, we don't have anyone keeping us off the sidelines. This will end very quickly, and it'll be very, very bloody for a lot of people.
I will make
not
the
us.
sandwiches. I will make
Yes.
every
Yes.
one of you guys sandwiches. But I said today we could all sit back on our front porches in our rocking chairs with our coolers, sitting outside, just enjoying the day. And we could send our 12-year-olds out there, and our 12-year-olds would have it handled in no time. I don't think they understand. I know they don't. But that's beside the point. This is what their aim is. They want an actual revolution. They talk about it openly. They talk about the plans that they want to implement once they've done so. But my question for you guys is, these people, including the highest, elected officials on the left that are saying the things that they've been saying, the people that have completely pivoted from everything they've ever said in the decades that they've been in Congress, including people like Chuck Schumer. Some of them have been in Congress longer than I've been alive, and I was born in 1982, just for the record. So these people that have always said the same thing and had the same stance, much like Donald Trump, who's always said the same thing and had the same stance, yet he hasn't changed. Do you think that they've changed their positions and they're saying these crazy things that they're saying because they really believe it?
No.
Or do you think they're being blackmailed? Or do you think it's behavior manipulation? Do you think it's foreign countries, the UN? What do you think is causing this shift? And for moderate Democrats to all of a sudden be completely all in on the Marxist, communist, socialism, all of that stuff.
I will tell you. This is my opinion, and then I want to prove it. I want to prove it with a video, okay?
And I have an opinion after this too.
Yeah. So my opinion is these people, the ones you're talking about, the ones who've been in Congress, the top of the Democrat Party for all these years, don't actually have a position. They read what is put in front of them. And that's it. So their staff and the lobbyists and the people that are running the organizations that are funding them get younger. They stay old, and they just keep reading what's put in front of them. Rosario DeLuca, or whatever the heck her name is, proved it today in Congress. And Lee Zeldin just ripped her up one side and down the other because she's got an entire whole ass opinion about a law that she's never even actually read. And she wrote it.
It's a Supreme Court ruling. This is
Right.
the biggest Supreme Court ruling we've had in decades and decades and decades.
Right.
The Loper-Bright decision is huge. That's Chevron deference.
Yep.
Right. Let me play this real quick. And that's PatriotDad. You
Change is flooding our streets, poisoning our air, driving up healthcare and disaster costs. How can the EPA justify abandoning that duty to protect Americans to appease polluters under the false flag of economic growth?
Following the law, Section 202 of the Clean Air Act, where does it say anything about fighting global climate change? Loper-Bright, Supreme Court case, you familiar with it?
No, I maybe others are. I'm not, but let me ask.
But that's really important. As a member of Congress, Loper-Bright says that we as an agency don't have the authority to get creative if Section 202 of the Clean Air Act
No, but you don't have, excuse me, you do not have the right
I
to
was
say
actually
climate
answering your
change
questions.
does not exist, that it's a hoax, and that's where.
Pause it. Did you hear what she just said? Hold on.
Yes.
She literally just said you don't have the right to say that climate change isn't real.
Climate change isn't real.
What she's
It's not
saying.
real.
Hold
It's
on,
not real.
let me clarify it, because what Lee Zeldin is saying is the Loper-Bright decision. It's Loper-Bright v. Raimondo or something like that. It's the fishing boat. Remember the EPA case where they were suing
Chevron
because
deference,
the EPA was requiring the fishing boats, even small fishing boats, to have like a supervisor on the ship from the EPA, and they had to pay $700 per day, and it was putting these smaller fishermen out of business because they couldn't afford it. This is not in any law. This was a rule that was written by the EPA. And so the Supreme Court decision is, if you want that in your law, you have to do your job as a congressperson and put that in the law when you pass it, or amend the law. We can't be leaving these agencies to determine and make policy, just like the ATF, all those types of things. It's unconstitutional. Congress has to put it in the law if they want it in the law. She doesn't even understand the ruling. She doesn't understand her job. She has no idea what she's doing. And he's pointing that out. And she literally just said, you don't have a right. And he's saying, you don't have a right. Wait, hold on. The problem is the EPA doesn't have the right to impose these things that you're talking about, like global climate change, onto the country with all of these fees or jail time, or, you know, losing your money, your freedom, all of the things that can be a consequence of breaking one of these rules. You can't do that without it being in the law. So we are now following the law. If you don't like the law, change it. And she's like, you don't have a right to talk about global climate change. Because again, UN, all the stuff we've been telling you about, this is what this is. These people are they have no idea what they're talking about.
SK, this dingbat doesn't even know that the Supreme Court ruled on something. That's how out of touch and disconnected from reality this moonbat really is. She doesn't even know what Lee Zeldin is talking about. It's not that she just doesn't know her role. Like, she has absolutely no clue that he's talking about a Supreme Court ruling because she's a moron.
Well, that's the point. She only reads what's put in front of her. She has no idea. This Supreme Court ruling, as SK eloquently put, is probably one of the most important Supreme Court rulings in a very long time, because it basically said to Congress, hey, do your job. Those agencies are not making law. If you want it to be law, you want it to be enforceable, you've got to pass fucking law.
That's right.
You got to
finish
pass
playing the
bill.
video. Yeah. People in the comments want to hear it. I want to hear the rest of it too. Okay.
But remember, these are the people that are telling you that a plumber from Oklahoma that ran a multi-million-dollar plumbing company, grew a multi-million-dollar plumbing company, sold it for like $18 million, is not qualified to run DHS. These are the same people telling you that Pete Hegseth, who spent time in the military and in combat and what has commented on war and geopolitics as a commentator on Fox News, is not qualified to run the Department of War.
Well,
these people aren't qualified to be in Congress, but they're there.
The reason they say this is because they know they are in fact qualified and they are effective. So their only objective when they say things like that is to try to label them. Remember, Saul Alinsky's rules for radicals: pick a target, attack it, freeze it. That's all they're trying to do. If they can get enough of the moron class on social media to start running with this narrative that Pete Hegseth or that the new DHS secretary, Mark Wayne Mullen, is not qualified, that's the only thing these idiots are capable of understanding, is what they're told to think.
All right, let's hear the rest of this.
An agency don't have the authority to get creative if Section 202 of the Clean Air Act.
No, but you don't have, excuse me, you do not have the right to say climate change does not exist, that it's a hoax, and that's where this administration is coming from.
I understand you're upset that you don't know what Loper Bright is. Do you know what the major policies doctrine is?
I'm upset because
you know what the major policies doctrine is?
You know what, let me just
You're a member of Congress. You should know.
Well, you have moved from someone who defended the environment to all of a sudden
I'm very defensive about not knowing the two biggest landmark Supreme Court cases of the last year with regards to your question.
You are very defensive about changing your policy and your positions with regard to the environment. Okay. Now, you just tell me.
Do you want me to tell you what the two biggest Supreme Court cases are of the last few years?
This is what I want you
Michigan
to tell
versus EPA.
Whoa.
West Virginia versus EPA.
You know, you're here because you need money from us. So halt for the second and wait for the questions and answer the question.
Well, I answered your question,
no, you
and you didn't like my answer because you don't know what Loper Bright is, because you don't know what the major policies doctrine is, because you're asking me about Section 202 of the Clean Air Act, and you don't read it. You don't know what it says.
Listen, and what you want to do is to deny.
No,
I actually read the law. I do my homework.
Really?
You're just somebody who likes to have the microphone on. You know what I have to do? I read the law. I read the Supreme Court cases.
And I would say
no, what you should do for your constituents is actually read statute.
The budget is at real risk.
Read your Supreme Court.
This is the Appropriations Committee.
Oh,
you care
about science? Now you're threatening to defund it?
Oh my God! No, you don't fund
because
science.
You don't know what Loper Bright is. Because you don't know what the major policies doctrine is. Your message to our folks at the EPA is that you want to defund us. I don't
have to listen to this BS.
Oh, this is great.
You think I made up these cases?
Yeah, I think you have made up a whole
I made up Loper Bright. I made up West Virginia versus EPA. I made up Michigan versus EPA.
This is exactly like debates that take place on my talk panels. This is exactly what happened. This is how they all are. But remember, you should be terrified if you live in her district. That woman is responsible for passing the laws, for writing and passing the laws in the United States of America. And she has no idea what she's talking about. She's trying to hit her talking points because what you were talking about, Patriot Dad, it's called narrative warfare. They talk about it all the time. They have to gain control of the narrative. So they have to use their buzzwords and, global climate change and climate anxiety and all the bullshit words that they make up and put together. That's what she's trying to get out. She realizes she has no idea what she's talking about. He's there for funding for something for the EPA, and she's talking about how they're climate deniers and they aren't doing all this stuff to protect the environment. He's telling her, lady, I can't do anything to protect the environment unless you pass laws that force me to do so, because the Supreme Court said it's unconstitutional for a government agency to impose fines and jail time or whatever other consequences when it's not even in the law.
That's because the Constitution says that. I know it's a crazy idea, people, but the Constitution flat out tells the Congress that you have to pass a law. You can't just hand your responsibility over to some executive branch agency and tell them to create rules and just enforce it like a law. That's not how our Constitution works.
By the way, this is what happens when you've got Democrats gerrymandering entire states, because she's from New England states, which 100% blue. I think there's something like an average, like 38% Republicans that vote in those states. Yep. Zero Republicans represent them in the House of Representatives. Zero, not one, because of gerrymandering. That's what you get. You get that shit.
I would just like to say that she looks like she smells like cat piss.
I guarantee you she does. I guarantee you she does.
All right. Can I answer the question from my perspective that SK asked, which is why? What was your question? Do you remember the question you asked?
Yes, I was asking about the elected officials from the left, as well as the podcasters and all these people that are doing I guess you can call it mass manipulation, whatever. Some people actually believe it. I do believe that. But other people have been led to believe that because of the repeating the same words and the same things over and over again, the narrative warfare, making people believe things are true that are definitely not true. Just like that woman, she doesn't believe anything that Lee Zeldin is saying. And Lee Zeldin is literally quoting the Supreme Court ruling that was one of the biggest ones of at least a decade. I mean, It's bigger than the Dobbs decision. That's the Chevron deference is enormous.
It is the most consequential. It's the most consequential decision probably in our lifetime.
Yeah, I mean, it's huge because we're going back to being constitutional, which is what we need to do. Let's just get back to the foundation of this country, please. Let's quit allowing Congress to do all this crap and then allowing these government agencies to then impose all of these things on the American people when they weren't elected. We don't get to vote them out, and they stay in there for decades and decades and decades, regardless of who's running the administration, and they do what they want to do behind the scenes, just like the USAID, the U.S. Institute of Peace. Before Donald Trump took office, they took all their communications to an encrypted chat so they could still continue doing the things that they were doing because they knew that the Trump administration wasn't going to approve. This is the problem. This is the entire problem. But my question was, do you think that there being it's a campaign contribution situation? Do you think it's a mass manipulation type situation? Why do we have Democrats that have been in Congress for decades and decades that have always said the same thing, that have now switched and are completely behind in supporting all of this communist UN bullshit that the left is the Communist Party. I don't even know why they call it the Democrat Party anymore. It's now the Communist Party of the United States of America.
I'm going to use a little bit of historical background for why I think these leftists are willing to buy into the whole communist ideology. Because, I mean, let's be honest, there isn't a single person, well, maybe cat piss lady, but there isn't a single person that has two brain cells they can rub together that actually looks at communism and socialism and collectivism and authoritarianism and says, yeah, that'll work. Not one. They don't expect the system to work for the massive amount of people. They expect it to work for them. And that is the key. I'm going to remind you guys, we did an episode months ago on this document that I'm going to throw up here. Now, this may not be the exact document that ultimately is used if they successfully revolutionize this country and turn it into a communist country, but this is a very good example of what you can expect. You guys will probably remember this document. We went through it. It's 104 pages. It's the Constitution for the new socialist republic in North America. I would beg you, do not read this. I mean, if you want to, and you want your eyes to bleed, and you want to like have a hole in your soul when you realize how evil some of these people are, you can read it. I read it for you. If you're really interested in reading what they truly think is going to happen to them if they're successful, go read Article 1, the central government. The Article 1 central government explains in pretty explicit detail, these people expect that when they successfully overturn our constitutional republic and implement a constitution of the new socialist republic in North America or something similar, they are going to be the ones in charge of you.
And it's going to start with the Declaration of Interdependence because they want the collective. They don't want any individuals. They want to brainwash you into thinking of the collective and not individual rights. You will have no individual rights. It's all about what's best for the collective. And best is in quotes. Let's just be real.
But let's be clear. We know that Rosario DeLuca and Chuck Schumer and all these other people that have been there for decades have also not read that thing or this thing here. They've also not read that either, right?
No, they don't care.
But the people
they don't care.
Writing the scripts that put in front of them to read have. That's why it looks like, and it sounds like they are saying the exact opposite thing they said 15 years ago. Because they
expect to be elevated into positions where they can control every aspect of your life. Because that, at the very core of who these people are, they are narcissists. They are demonically inspired. They are sadomasochists. They are evil. They want nothing more than to dominate and control every aspect of your life. And they do it because they think they're smarter than you. They think they're more equipped to arrange your day-to-day life than you are. They think they have the ability to create a system that will prop them up even higher than they are, and they don't give a damn about what happens to you in the process. So when Cat Piss Lady gets in front of Congress and says something today that she didn't say 10, 15 years ago, it's because somebody has come to her and said, if you want a seat at the table when we implement this new system, you're going to do exactly what we tell you to do. Otherwise, you're going to be treated just like everybody else. It's a self-preservation. It is a self-prosperous or self-prospering motive. They are greedy. They are selfish. They are demonic. They are evil. And they want nothing more than to crush every single person underneath. I don't know. I can't think of a nicer way to explain it than that. These people want to control you. That's what they want. And they think they're going to have a chance to do that if they're successful in this system.
And I would just like to say, Kelly, I'm not like calling you out or anything, but she said it depends on what rabbit hole you go down because some of them have historical reference and some are just conspiracy theories. I don't do conspiracy theories. When I talk about something, I have receipts to back it up, and it comes from the actual source. And the source of the Declaration of Interdependence is the entire ecosystem that we have been exposing to you, and it is funded by enormous people whose names that you would know, and these are credible NGOs, and it is all being directed by a document written by Catherine Kleinfeld, who is Carnegie Endowment, the National Endowment for Democracy, also works for the Soros organization. This isn't conspiracy theory. This is literally their plans.
That's right. So I want to address this comment from the Second Amendment, 1776. Believe it or not, we actually are talking about the attempt on Trump because everything that we have just showed you, everything that we're talking about is designed, all of this stuff that they're doing, right, is designed to get as many people as possible to take a shot at trying to kill President Trump. I mean, in some way, shape, or form. All the lies, all the BS, these people from the new socialist constitution of North America, all of this stuff, that's why they continue to ratchet up the language, the rhetoric, the violence, whether it's online, whether it's in the streets, because they believe that if they're able to assassinate President Trump, it will spark the revolution that they believe they need to get to what they want. Okay.
Well, and the other part of that is I mean, let's take this back to the core of what we've been talking about really since the beginning of the year. Donald Trump and the strategy that he has been just with precision, incredible precision, the strategy that he has been implementing day after day after day is the antithesis of what these monsters want to do to you. It is the exact opposite. It is the antidote for the new socialist constitution for North America. It is the system that will allow us to extract ourselves from the globalist, communist, Marxist, Bolshevik crap that these people are trying to push down your throat. And he's the only one in a century, probably, that has had the balls to actually step out and do it. They need to remove him so they can stop that system in its tracks to get back on schedule with what they have planned for you.
So are we going to talk about the details of the assassination attempt? Probably not, because everybody has already. Literally everybody has. There's not much known about the shooter, or not much unknown about the shooter at this point.
One thing that's very important, I think Julie Rios' comment needs to come up here. It says Trump is the biggest obstacle to their color revolution efforts. Listen to me and listen carefully. Trump is not the biggest obstacle to their color revolution efforts. Trump is the only obstacle to their color revolution efforts. I hope you understand, no matter how you feel about Donald Trump, no matter how much you read his Truth Social posts and you think to yourself, would you just shut the fuck up or somebody take his phone away? Regardless of how you feel about Donald Trump is truly the only person right now that is actually representing the American people and the Constitution of the United States. And he is the only person standing in between us and this type of government setup. They want to change the entire political structure of our country. They want to change the Constitution. They want to have the abundance agenda. They want the interfaith. They want all of these things that we've been telling you about, and we've told you their plans. We've told you how they want to get there. We've tried to break it down in every way we can possibly think of. He is the only person standing in the way, period.
That's right. That's right. And I totally agree with Kay Posto. Donald Trump is a master at narrative warfare also. So you have to think about how this whole strategy is playing in opposition to the left strategy, right? So the left strategy is to try to frame and paint Trump and his cabinet as these rubes who are unqualified. They don't know what they're doing. They're not supposed to be there. They're, whatever. They're rapists. They're pedophiles. Nonsense. And at the same time, what Donald Trump is doing is he's returning fire over and over and over again. So he puts out these posts that sound like they're just crazy. Sometimes I read them initially and I'm like, oh, here we go. And then it takes me just a second, because I've learned just a second to think, there's an objective here. There's a strategy with this post that sounds like it's a little off the wall. The strategy is he's now drawing them into his narrative, into his discussion. And the next thing you know, they start running around with their ass hanging out of their pants, showing the entire world how demonic and evil they are. He's a master at narrative warfare.
By the way, can I just say, for all of these people to run around and say, people like Pete Hegseth and Kash Patel and, Stephen Miller, all these people are unqualified. I'm sorry, guys. This is the guy that you want running your Department of War. This guy. It's not Lloyd Austin hiding behind a face shield, 3 masks, and disappearing for weeks at a time. It's this guy. This is the dude. Look at that. Look at that. Everybody else is hiding under tables, and he's alert. He's got his eyes on the commander-in-chief. He's making sure his wife is safe. Everybody at that table is safe.
That's a sheepdog right there.
Pounce. That's a sheepdog.
He made himself
ready
big
to fucking pounce. He is ready to be the target so that nobody else around him is. That is who you want leading your Department of War. Tell me he's unqualified one more time, please. Please.
I don't buy it. What do you mean unqualified? The guy has executed the most strategic exercise in multiple different engagements since he took the job. I mean, he has removed the Iranian nuclear threat largely, arrested a narco-terrorist, has basically sealed off just about every major waterway where energy flows around the world, and he's killed the Ayatollah and about 50 of his buddies in Iran, and he did it in a year. in a year.
Basically stopped drug cartel traffic into our country. I mean, for all intents and purposes.
He's uniquely qualified for this job.
I completely agree. And this is why I always say to you guys, when liberal women are talking about MAGA men and Republican men and, you know, how they abuse their wives and blah, 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 blah. I guarantee you, if you liberal women are in a Walmart and somebody comes in there with a gun and starts shooting the place up, the person that you are looking to protect you is not a liberal man. It is going to be somebody from the right side of the aisle.
Probably going to be the one in there shooting the place up.
Hold on. You mean like
this
this liberal
taking
woman?
you to the testosterone, and I'm sorry, but the men on the left have low testosterone. You're not going to go running to the low testosterone man. You're going to be running to the men with the testosterone. Their instinct is to protect the women, and that's exactly what they did. Every single one of those Republican men in that cabinet who knew they were the target were protecting their wives. You can watch the video where the left is all saying, oh, look, Donald Trump, he's so incapable and he's so old. He needs the 25th Amendment. He fell down. No, he didn't. The Secret Service almost fell over the top of him because he stopped dead in his tracks to bend over and pick his wife up off the floor as she was trying to crawl out. And if you look close enough, you can see her red bottoms. She's on the floor on her hands and knees crawling out, and Donald Trump stopped and picked her up. Stephen Miller was sitting at that table with his wife in his arms. The security was standing behind her, so he knew she was completely protected. And when they got under that table, security said to them, when I say go, she goes first, because Secret Service knew the threat was behind them. So when they show you those photos, this is the narrative warfare that they try to play. When they show you those photos of Stephen Miller's pregnant wife in front of him and the Secret Service behind him, and they're like, oh, look, he's got a security sandwich. He's using his wife as a block. Bullshit. Do you really think that Secret Service is going to use not only the pregnant woman, but also the protectee as protection between them and the threat? Get the fuck out of here. Security's at the back because the threat was behind them, you morons.
Wait, you mean like this liberal woman here? You mean like this lady?
Assassination? They all hid under tables or used their pregnant wives as fucking human shields. If those people, if they were actually liberal men, things would have been way different.
I just can't. I can't.
I have more testosterone than that woman, and I would be able to efficiently pull out a weapon and defend myself and her if a threat arose, because she would have no fucking idea what to do, number one. Number two, that table up on that stage, what do you think the front of that table is made out of? Why do you think they're trained to get under the tables, you idiots? The president of the United States and his top cabinet members were at that table. If you think for 1 second the front of that table wasn't bulletproof, I've got another thing for you.
Put that back up. No, I'm sorry. I was pulling something up because I want to show, I want to show the widow weighty what an actual liberal man looks like. But go ahead and throw your thing back up there.
Yeah. So this is what this giant hoax is built on, right? Is Stephen Miller's wife is in front of him. He is guiding her with his hands, and he did cop a little feel there, which is kind of funny. He is guiding her at her hips with his hands, the same way he's being guided by Secret Service. The threat is behind him. Otherwise, you have to be able to make the claim, liberals, leftists, morons, that Secret Service is also using Stephen Miller as a shield. Because the Secret Service agent is doing the exact same thing to Stephen Miller that he's doing to his wife.
That's right.
Because the threat was behind them.
Oh, but no, that's common sense. Come on.
This is what these morons are reacting to.
Real quick, and I want to pull up a comment here in a second, but this is what, from the widow weighty who loves her wibble men, this is what a liberal man in America looks like right now. This is him.
Mm-hmm.
That's
yikes.
It. That is a feature, not a bug. That is a feature. It's not a bug, folks. This is what liberalism has devolved these men into. They have nothing better to do with their lives than plan to assassinate people. Yeah, nothing.
And by all accounts, this was a smart dude. He went to Caltech. He worked with a NASA program. The guy was a programmer. I mean, this was a smart dude. And his family has been interviewed. Has been interviewed by Secret Service. His sister, over there in Maryland and DC area is in the media. She works in the media. I believe she works anyway. But they've all been interviewed, and they have all said that they watched him get radicalized in real time. They actually reported the radicalization to the police. But what are the police going to do until he does something? Right. This is the point.
That's right. I brought this comment up from Deborah Rowick, and no shade at all, but I do want to deal with this comment because I see this all the time. People think that bringing back the Smith-Mundt Act is going to solve this problem. It is not. It's not. Folks, the Smith-Mundt Act had absolutely nothing to do with free speech from the media or from the public. The only thing the Smith-Mundt Act did is it prohibited the federal government from using government propaganda overseas. That's it. That's why all of these USAID and NGOs stood up, because the government was prohibited for a long time from propagandizing overseas. And they're obviously permitted from doing it here in this country as well. But the Smith-Mundt Act does nothing to stop narrative warfare coming from the NGOs, from the media, from the propagandists, from the influencers. This is a free speech issue. And I am a free speech absolutist. I think everybody here is. The whittle weighty who loves wibble men laying on the floor has every right in the world to say the dumbest, most evil things that can come out of her mouth. As soon as those things turn into credible threats against people, that's a crime. And that's the problem, is nobody is doing anything about that free speech that turns into credible threats, that turns into inciting actual violence against elected officials.
Texas v. Johnson.
What's that?
Texas v. Johnson is where the line is drawn, and all they have to do is enforce the law. When your speech is inciting violence, when your speech is encouraging crime, you can't do that. I will fight for your right to be an asshole on the internet all day long. Say whatever you want to say. But when you're encouraging people to commit a crime, that's where the line is drawn, according to the Supreme Court in Texas v. Johnson.
That's right. So instead of arguing that we need to bring back something like the Smith-Mundt Act, we need to change tactics. The tactic here needs to be people who are threatening the lives of anybody, whether it be an influencer on social media, whether it be somebody in the comments, whether it be an elected official, they need to be held accountable. And the fact is, very few of them are. And I'm not talking about just losing their job, although I do think that I'm not a big fan of cancel culture. But if somebody is in charge of educating or protecting your children, and at the same time they're online threatening to kill people, they have no business in that job whatsoever. But at the same time, people need to be held legally responsible where the law permits, and that's not happening to the extent that it needs to.
Yep.
That's right. But anyway, to the whittle wibble woman who loves wibble men, there's your man right there, laying on the ground in handcuffs. Because this is the worst stage operation of all time, where a little liberal man basically just threw away the rest of his life.
You have to remember, you're talking about women who have been made to believe that all of their instincts and what makes them special as a woman and their instincts to have babies and care for people and have this empathy, that empathy has been turned from the right thing, which is having the kids and caring for a family, to having empathy for illegal aliens and all these types of things. These are the same liberal women that are cheering on Luigi. Showing them this picture of this man is not going to make them say, I'd rather have that Stephen Miller or that Donald Trump or that Pete Hegseth, who's going to protect me in a situation where my life is in danger. They are going to stand up and protect me and put their life on the line to save mine. They're not thinking that. They're looking at that guy and saying he's a hero because he's going to take out the big bad orange man.
Yeah, I love this. It was clearly staged. Trump talked the TDS guy into this just to get the ballroom done, even though it would get done regardless. That's right. That's right. He's going to build the ballroom because it's a national security issue. I mean, let's be honest. It is a national security issue. The ballroom's going to get built. Little liberal dog lady who's upset because she doesn't like the way it looks can pound sand. Nobody gives a crap what she thinks at all.
I don't like the way she looks. Can we get an injunction against her?
Yeah,
walking her dog out in public?
We sure can. We sure can. All right, so
I guarantee you she has one of those strollers. Do you think the dog was actually on a leash, or do you think she was pushing it in a stroller?
Hold on.
Well,
Now,
hold
be
on.
careful.
Easy.
Now, be careful.
Because
Be
Nom
careful.
and Mrs. Nom actually have a stroller for their dog. So, and they use it.
Well, we do. So we have, listen, you guys know we have 3 pugs. We've got little Fifi, who's 4. She has all the energy to do the full loop around the block. Our super, super fat Rosie, who's in the middle, and then our age like 14 blind and deaf Guadalupe, they can't make the full trip. So they go in the stroller about halfway around.
Guadalupe can't make any trip. Like Nom and Mrs. Nom found Guadalupe in a post hole the other day and had wandered herself into a pool because she can't see.
She doesn't know where she's at. We're changing the entire backyard. She doesn't know where anything is. She actually fell in our neighbor's pool a couple weeks ago.
I mean, it's funny, but it's not funny. It's sad.
It's kind of funny, but
I mean, she's 14, so she needs a stroller. So we can't pick on liberal ladies who put their dogs in strollers because Nom and Mrs. Nom.
Well, I was making the point. See, they're empty nesters. That's okay because Mrs. Nom still needs to care for a family and babies, and that's her instinct. The difference here is that woman definitely never had kids or a family, and her empathy has been turned to animals and illegal aliens. And the liberal women that have kids because I don't even know why. They were in Minnesota taking their kids to protest and putting their offspring in danger in order to protect people that wouldn't piss on them if they were on fire.
That's right.
Hey, I'm just going to throw this out there, Family Crest, and for everybody else that's listening. I have no problems with my masculinity. I have no problems pushing a dog stroller if my wife asks me to, by the way, right? I don't have a single issue. My masculinity is completely fine.
There's not that many people who, if they ever saw Nom pushing a doggy stroller, would come up and give him a hard time because he may not look that scary in the little frame there, but he's a pretty scary dude when you get up close and personal. So
Nom works out. He must.
He just has that. He just has that like I'll rip your effing head off and you won't even see it coming like aura about him. It's true. It just is. It is what it is.
My 14-year-old pug, our 14-year-old pug,
dude, it's a dog, Jeff.
It's a dog. 14-year-old dog. And it's deaf, and it doesn't know where it's going. But she makes it a lot further around the block than Rosie does. Rosie's just fat and out of shape, and she doesn't want to do it. She's like,
that's a total self-induced problem for Rosie. All right, so there was actually some really interesting news today. So you guys remember last week when the Marxist in Virginia decided to do an end around their constitution and illegally put a referendum on the ballot. And then somehow magically all of these votes appeared in the 11th hour to kind of push it over the top. And then they were running around so excited. You know, we finally got it done. We're going to stick it to those evil Republicans who are gerrymandering their districts by gerrymandering our districts. And then come to find out that, you know, there actually is a little bit of sanity in the court system in Virginia and a circuit court judge. And I'm going to call it Tazewell for those of you guys who have constantly reminded me that it's pronounced Tazewell, even though it's spelled Tazewell. It's literally spelled Tazewell.
It's enough of the finger jokes.
Well. It's Tazewell. And for those of you guys who have a problem with me calling it Tazewell, you just have to remember I'm from the Midwest. I'm well within my right to make up whatever pronunciation of a word that I want. That's part
adding a T,
adding S's, adding R's, adding T's. That's what we do. We call things, sometimes we even pronounce them the way they're spelled. I know that's a crazy idea, but if your city's spelled Tazewell, it's Tazewell. No, I digress. Anyway, so go ahead, SK. What were you going to say?
I was going to make a comment to the comment section, giving Nom a hard time about the dogs in the stroller. Listen, the people saying happy wife, happy life. It helps that Nom's wife is super hot, and I'm sure that he prefers sleeping in his bed and not on the couch. He's probably going to do whatever she asks him to do.
Yep. Apparently you can still do the shocker, so it's all good according to Devil Dog PB. Anyway, so the circuit court judge in Virginia immediately stepped in last week and not only ruled the vote unconstitutional, but nullified the entire thing and just said, yeah, this didn't happen because you guys violated the law multiple times. Well, as we know, there was an immediate appeal. That appeal made it to the Virginia Supreme Court today, and the arguments were heard today. And the entire day, I was just laughing my rear end off watching a bunch of kindergartners, these Democrat influencers and social media people and talking heads, crying and whining and moaning and groaning all day about how unfair it is that Virginia is not allowed to violate their own constitution. Because believe it or not, there are still parts of the judicial system in the state of Virginia that respects the fact that they have a constitution in place. So what we saw today, and I made a video about this, but what we saw today is probably the most perfect representation of the vast expanse that exists between Democrats and Republicans in America today. All right. So let me break this down for you, and then we have a little bit of good news. Now, I want to be clear. Republicans are not the solution to all of your problems. They are not, but Democrats are usually the cause of all of them. So when I make this case, please hear me. I am not saying that Republicans are going to solve all the problems in the country, but what I am saying is, at least in this specific case, they have clearly articulated that Republicans in the state of Virginia recognize that the center of power in their state rests with their voters. The case that the representatives in the Virginia Supreme Court were making today is very simple. We voted several years ago to put laws in place, constitutional amendments in place that define exactly the way referendums like this are supposed to be voted on, are supposed to be notified to the public, and are supposed to be handled by the legislature. The voters spoke and said they do not want the legislature to have total control over redistricting. They wanted a quasi-independent commission involved. They created a process that requires multiple votes at the legislature that crosses elections to make sure that there's a check and a balance on those legislatures. And they required specific notification timelines. In every instance, the Virginia legislature violated those rules. They violated them. So the dichotomy that existed today in the Virginia Supreme Court was simple. Republicans say, no, the voters voted on the framework. That's where the core of power should exist in a constitutional republic. And what the Democrats were saying is the exact opposite. They were telling the Supreme Court that it doesn't really matter that we violated the law. It's not really that big of a deal. And I quote, because circumstances have changed. That was the core of their argument, is that because circumstances changed, the irregularities and the violations that occurred were okay. Nobody walked into that hearing today. Sorry, Nom. Nobody walked into that hearing today and even bothered to challenge whether or not they violated the Constitution. They all acknowledged that, yes, there were severe violations and irregularities. The arguments that were being made is who should hold the center of power in the state. So this is probably one of the best examples that we've seen in a long time of the difference between Republicans and Democrats. Democrats don't care about the framework of their constitution. They care about amassing power and are willing to stamp all over their constitution in order to get it. And the problem, go ahead, Nam, you're going to say something.
I was going to say, the argument of circumstances have changed, so we should just ignore the laws, the entire point of a constitution. Yep. It literally is the entire reason it exists. There's a reason why they chose the word constitution, because it means that's how we're constituted. We will do these things this way, and there are many ways that you can modify and adjust and change and amend this, but you have to follow the rules so that we don't have 51% of a state or of the country deciding to eat the other 49%, which is precisely what Virginia did when they violated their constitution because the situation had changed.
That's right.
Nah, fuck these guys.
The circumstances have changed. And so one of the problems that I think the Democrats are going to have, look, it is very possible that the Supreme Court in Virginia turns around and says, we're going to let the Democrats get away with whatever they want to get away with, because the reality is this: people in the political system care far more about being invited to cocktail parties and hanging out with their buddies on both sides of the aisle and getting those kickbacks and, those campaign contributions. So it's possible that the Supreme Court says, yeah, Democrats, you can violate the Constitution that your citizens voted on not that long ago. But it is also very possible that they don't, because what I think a lot of people don't understand is the Virginia Supreme Court is not a radical left court. It is, a matter of fact, it is a center right court, because the process that they go through in order to elect and nominate, or I guess appoint their Supreme Court justices, basically puts people on the bench for 12 years. So there are people there today who are appointed under Youngkin and were appointed under other Republican governors and other Republican legislatures. So it's possible that this doesn't work out for them. And it will be glorious to watch if the Supreme Court comes back in a week or 2 weeks or however long it takes and says, yeah, no, we're not going to allow this vote. They're screwed, because on top of that, at the same time, the governor of Florida came out today, Ron DeSantis. Did you guys see this? The governor of Florida comes out today and says, okay, well, if you guys want to play games up in Virginia, we can play games too. Except the difference is they're going to follow the law. They're actually going to follow their state constitution and the rules that their citizens have put in place in order to redraw their district maps. And they may actually even have a very strong case to be made, because there's 2 states in the union that have seen massive floods of population growth over the last several years. As people are fleeing these crap hole Democrat cities and Democrat states, they're going to Texas and they're going to Florida. Florida has seen a pretty significant increase in their population. So maybe it does make sense for them to actually take another look at their map. So that's exactly what they're going to do. Did you guys see the map that they proposed? Check this out. Look at this map. How's that make you feel, Democrats? How does that sit with you? You guys want to play games and you want to try to redistrict your state illegally. Well, the Republicans are just going to do it legally, and they're going to shove it right down your throat.
I mean, well, and the interesting part about this is, because that wasn't the only huge decision that came out about redistricting. And I'm sure you're going to get to that in just a second. The problem the Democrats have, and I'm sure you guys have heard people say it, is they don't have many more states that they can do this to. They've already gerrymandered the ever-living crap out of all of their states. There are a lot more Republican red states that can squeeze out many more Republican districts than there are Democrats.
Yeah, that's right. So Florida comes out and says, we're going to redistrict, because they probably should. Texas got a big lift today. The Supreme Court, the United States Supreme Court, issued a ruling ordering that the November 18th, 2025 order of the United States District Court for the Western District of Texas is hereby administratively stayed pending further order of the undersigned or the court. It is further ordered that a response of the applicant be filed on or before Monday, the 24th. So basically, what happened at the Supreme Court today is they said, yeah, we're going to uphold the congressional map that was passed legally in the state of Texas. So Texas redistricts successfully. Ohio's done some work around it. I don't know if Indiana has finally gotten off their ass and done something about it or not. But last week we talked about how really, if everyone is successful in this effort, it's basically going to be a wash. If Virginia is successful and they're redistricting, then it's basically going to be an 11-10 split and changing of congressional seats. But now you have Texas or Florida getting into the mix and saying, yeah, we might play ball too, which will likely end up adding another 4 or 5 seats on the Republican side. If Virginia fails at this, they're in real trouble. You're talking about a 9 to 10 seat swing just in the redistricting effort on the side of the Republicans, all because the Virginia legislature thought they could get away with breaking the law. This is what happens when you play games and you don't know what you're doing.
Well, here's the difference, right? Well, MAGA Jake makes a point. We know how to follow the laws. I think we already proved with Rosario DeLuca that we actually read them, and they don't. They don't read them.
I guarantee you
they don't actually care what they say.
I guarantee you most of the people in the Virginia legislature that thought they could get away with this had absolutely no idea what their constitution even said about the process. I guarantee you Spanberger didn't know.
They don't care. They
I
don't
guarantee you,
care.
Jay Jones or whatever the hell his name is, I guarantee you, the Attorney General had no idea what the Constitution even said about redistricting. They just thought they could walk in, they could use whatever force and power that they had and just bull rush this through without understanding that we are still a constitutional republic, and the Constitution, believe it or not, actually matters to some people. And now they might be screwed. That's all I got on that topic. What do you want to talk about next, guys?
I don't know. What else we got?
What about the release from Chuck Grassley that I haven't read yet?
Yeah. Do you mind if I pull this up now?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to. You're talking about the Clinton?
Switching gears a lot.
Before we get into this, I want to sort of preface, because I saw someone talking about this earlier. I know how we get mad how it seems like Congress, with all their investigations and their sternly written letters, right, that seem to come from Congress to, the Attorney General or Department of Justice or to agencies and all these things. What folks like Chuck Grassley and, Kash Patel, when he was in charge of, Devin Nunes' office when they were investigating Russia collusion, all these things, these sternly written letters and these referrals that are coming from Congress, especially Chuck Grassley, are basically roadmaps to prosecuting these people. Okay, that's what they're doing. They're giving the DOJ everything they need to go and begin to write charging documents and seek indictments. Right, and we know that there are statute of limitations problems for a lot of these things, so they have to be very creative to even see if they can get to charging. I mean, what you're going to talk about here with FBI, with Clinton, and basically everything that they did to protect her. Most of this stuff is outside of the statute of limitations, unless, again, it can be tied to the decade-long criminal seditious conspiracy, the grand conspiracy that's going on down in the Southern District of Florida. Just throw that out there.
Well,
carry on.
And I think that's
Thank you, Devil Dog.
I think that's the point, right? I think that's the entire point of this, is to tie it all into the grand conspiracy. So I think a lot of people are operating under the assumption that for the last year, anytime Grassley or any of those other senators or Congress people gave these referrals to the Department of Justice, that they were just going into a black hole somewhere. And I'm here to tell you that they're not. Every one of these referrals are going into consideration for how it applies to the grand conspiracy that they started executing on Donald Trump when he came down the golden escalator. And this is another example of it. So this is an article written by Margot Cleveland. Today, Chuck Grassley released, I think, another 90 documents or so, showing exactly how the FBI had a dual set of standards for justice and their prosecution and investigation of suspects. So the new FBI Clinton doc reinforces deep state's dual standard of justice. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I do want to go down and call out just a couple of things that the FBI was caught doing to try to hide some of the details of what the Clinton administration, or excuse me, what Hillary Clinton and the Clinton Foundation and all those people associated with it, what the FBI was doing to protect them. All right. So Special Counsel John Durham would later, let me see if this, let me find the right place here. So basically what happened is there is this individual at the FBI Public Corruption Division who was responsible for opening these investigations, and he basically just punted on it. He declined prosecution on behalf of the Public Integrity Section because he argued that the FBI did not provide a convincing enough case in their files. So basically, this person who's responsible for investigating said, well, the FBI didn't really give me a whole lot to go on. In sum, that the FBI briefing was poorly presented and that there was insufficient predication for at least one of the investigations due to its reliance on an allegation contained in a book. According to another section chief, the Department of Justice reaction to the Clinton Foundation briefing was hostile. So when people were providing evidence of the Clinton Foundation's corruption, the Department of Justice was responding to that evidence in a hostile manner, meaning effectively saying, we don't really care. We don't want to deal with this. Halser's refusal to open an
pause real quick.
Yep.
Pause real quick. As PatriotDad's going through this, I want you to think of the standard or the threshold that was used to carry out the Russia collusion, the Crossfire Hurricane investigation, as you're reading how the Department of Justice was basically saying the exact type of information that was used in Russia collusion, launched a years-long investigation and impeachment while they actually covered this up. Just think of it in that context as you're going through it. Right, back to it. Sorry.
That's right. So it goes on to talk a little bit about the examples that Grassley provided in his referral. He says that Washington field offices opening communication, beginning with donations to the Clinton Foundation totaling $2.35 million from the then head of the Russian government's uranium company, Uranium One. So this is part of the package of information that was provided to the FBI and the Public Corruption Division. The EC is not limited to evidence about Uranium One. It also details evidence of donations to the Clinton Foundation from an executive of Polo Resources. 8 weeks later, it says the U.S. ambassador to Bangladesh persuaded the prime minister to reauthorize pit mining, including one in which Polo Resources had an interest. Another section of the EC highlights evidence suggesting a pay-to-play scheme involving Colombian Timber and another Clinton Foundation donor. The FBI EC... Yep.
Hold on. Polo, what's the name of it?
Polo Resources.
That was Hillary Clinton's brother's
That's right.
firm, right? Correct.
That's right.
Right. So that's Hillary Clinton's brother's firm.
That's right.
That's clear. You need to make sure everybody understands that.
Yep. So the FBI EC also notes that Hillary Clinton traveled to Russia, where she allegedly promoted Russian officials to enter into a prompted Russian officials to enter into a $3.7 billion aircraft purchase with Boeing. Then 2 months later, Boeing pledged $900,000 to the Clinton Foundation. The EC further discussed the Haitian government's awarding Hillary Clinton's brother a rare gold exception permit, which was the first issued in 50 years during the same time period in which billions of U.S. tax dollars had been spent in Haiti following the Haitian earthquake in 2010. What they're providing is evidence of clear corruption with Hillary Clinton and the Clinton Foundation, multiple instances of it. And then it goes on and says, what, if anything, the FBI did to investigate these additional potential pay-to-play schemes before the Department of Justice closed the investigations in 2016 is unclear. What we do know, though, is that after Donald Trump's election in 2016, Little Rock was able to reopen an investigation, but Holzer and the Department of Justice continued to interfere with the investigation into the Clinton Foundation. These documents released today show just how extensive that interference was. The lead assistant U.S. attorney noted in a March 6, 2020 investigative update memorandum that he still had 3 initial requests for investigative activities outstanding, some 2 years after seeking the information. And these delays followed after the chief refused to support the investigations into the Clinton Foundation, along with the other DOJ players sought to thwart them. They were basically blocking investigation into the Clinton Foundation, despite having page after page after page of evidence of corruption at the same time that they were using a debunked Steele dossier to open Crossfire Hurricane against Donald Trump.
I just want to correct one thing. That wasn't the name of Hillary Clinton's brother's company. That was a different one. Hillary Clinton's brother's company that was getting the money for the Haiti gold mine project was VCS Mining, but he also had interest in other businesses, but that's not the name of one of them. That's a different one. That was my bad.
Yeah. So to Nam's point,
My bad. Apologies.
The expectation that we're going to be able to see criminal charges against Hillary Clinton or the Clinton Foundation because of this specific case are probably out the window because of the statute of limitations. But what we should expect is this to play into a much broader conspiracy, a color revolution, really a coup d'etat against the president of the United States, a conspiracy to usurp his authority as president, remove him from office by FBI agents, by the CIA, by the Department of Justice, by longstanding executive branch bureaucrats who blocked investigations into actual crimes at the same time that they were manufacturing allegations against Donald Trump. That is the grand conspiracy. And that is exactly what they're in the process of building the case for right now. And it all started with the Southern Poverty Law Center last week. All of it.
Yep.
How'd I do? Was that good?
Pretty good. Very good. Hey, just a little quick timeline change. I don't know what we've got planned left. MAGA Jake wants to throw this out there. Reminder for everybody, that QR code up there, if you scan that in the top left and you subscribe, I didn't even know this until now. If you subscribe to our link tree, if the live show time ever changes or if there are any cancellations, which we tend to do sometimes, you can now receive email notifications. Wow. I didn't know that. Cool. Super cool.
Look at them. We're all professional now.
Dude, it is a big deal.
It almost looks like we know what we're doing.
Hey, can we real quick before we wrap, can we debunk the latest piece of slop that's running around social media right now? Have you guys seen this?
How do you know? It's slop. Every minute it's another slop.
This is a big one though. So this is the left's attempt to try to support their idea that the assassination on Donald Trump was some operation. It was a hoax. It was a scam. It was staged, right? So, and unfortunately, one of our own, Benny Johnson, who I'm not quite sure how much I trust this guy, is probably responsible for this because he was very, very sloppy with information that he was sharing. Did you guys see this? So Benny Johnson the other day, give me a second to pull this up. I want to make sure that we have, where's the shooter video? All right. So Benny Johnson. Oh, shoot. Where's it at? Shooter video. Anyway, so Benny.
Guys. Oh,
go ahead. No, you go ahead. I'm looking for something.
Oh, I was going to just say something while you're looking. I was going to say I'm supposed to be on Green Beret Nap Times podcast tomorrow night if everything works out okay. Because, I got stuff going on. But if everything works out okay, I'm going to be on Green Beret Nap Times podcast. So go to X and follow Green Beret Nap Time. He also has a YouTube. He's on with Gary Paramount Tactical a lot. And he's a really good, Kay Posto knows. So I'm supposed to go on his podcast. I don't even know what his podcast platform is like because I haven't seen it, but I'm going to go on it. So
cool. Congratulations. I've got shooter video one if you're ready for it.
Yeah, go ahead and pull it up. So let me give you a little bit of background on this. All right. So the other day, Benny Johnson posted a video on his X account and people went crazy over the video because apparently what had happened is somebody decided to take the original video from Donald Trump that he posted on True Social account and throw it into AI for the purposes of clearing up the video because it was a little grainy. And on the video, go ahead and show it. On the video that Benny Johnson pulled up, it actually says AI on it. It's basically AI enhanced. So now everybody on the left is running around like maniacs trying to convince you that this is a fake video. And the problem that we have is that Benny Johnson, for whatever reason, was not smart enough to immediately tell people, hey, this is an AI enhanced video. But it's pretty obvious that, in fact, this is not real. This video is enhanced by AI for the purposes of making it less grainy. So now we've got a whole class of idiots running around social media pretending like this was a staged event because Benny Johnson and somebody on Benny's team or someone that Benny's connected to thought it would be a good idea to try to clean up a video. The problem for them, yep, go ahead, Nam.
Can I just say, listen, I mean, I know the guy was a part-time video producer. The guy was making video games and stuff like that. First-person shooters, some of them, I believe. This is probably the dumbest attack plan that I've ever seen in my entire life. Let me see if one person with a shotgun, if I can storm a security gate and get through what? I mean, how many guns pop up here? I mean, how many guns do you guys see pop up here? Let's start
like half a dozen right there.
This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Hold on. Oh, he's going through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 guns in a matter of like 7 seconds show up. This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
Agree. And can we take a moment to appreciate the fact that the left is always talking about why don't you shoot him in the leg or, whatever to disable somebody, blah, 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 blah. And then in this circumstance, because, these people are actual like expert marksmen. They want to take this guy alive because they want to find out what's going on and they want to find out the other people and the networks and all of those things. So their goal is not to immediately kill this dude for obvious reasons. Also, he's on a different floor than Trump. He's not anywhere close to a target. They know what's on the other side of there. Why are they all like saying this is staged? Because of the fact that the guy's alive? Also, I'm pretty sure he's not
I just squished a bug. Sorry.
Also, I'm pretty sure he's not like glow in the dark white. And I thought that was the narrative too. I thought that people that weren't white automatically got unalived, like on site killed. My bad. TikTok. I'm used to TikTok language this week. I thought they got killed like on site.
Yep.
So why are we now going with this is all staged? Because of I'm just so lost here. Also, remember, I have the manifesto if you want me to read that.
We should probably read that. We got a few minutes. Before we do, I just want to look, folks, when you see this slop run across your social media account, just go into the comments and be like, are you freaking retarded? You realize that the original video that Donald Trump shared looks like this. This is it. This is the original video. Look at it. It looks like it was recorded back in the 1970s. It is on a closed caption television camera. It is grainy. You can't see anything. It's awful. So what did Benny Johnson and his team do? Well, they decided to clean it up a little bit. Just be like, you guys are freaking retarded. This is not the actual video that was released. That's why it says AI enhanced on it. They literally put AI enhanced on it so that you knew that that was not the actual video. I mean, come on. Use your freaking brains, people.
You're expecting people to read.
Use your brains.
Common sense is a superpower these days, guys.
It's ridiculous. All right. Do we want to have you? Has it? Okay. Let's ask the chat. Anyone in the chat has not read the manifesto from Cole Allen? Because SK has it. It's very short. We can read
Manifesto is a loose word. It's more like a letter.
It's not. It's basically a DNC fundraising email, is what it is. It reads just like a fundraising email.
It's a Tim Walz or Hakeem Jeffries speech.
Okay.
Yep. Basically.
Does anybody want us to read it? We will. We've got it. We can do it quickly. Okay. So let's do it. Bama Blazer. There's a few out there, and I'm sure there's people going to catch this later who haven't read it. Patriot Pete is mid manifesto. So Patriot
people are saying read it, please.
Read it. All right, SK.
Fun fact, I got my start on TikTok reading court documents and reports from Congress. She has a reader's
voice too, by the way.
No, I can't stand my voice. Don't say that. Okay, you ready?
Yep.
Do we have it in here so we can bring it up so others can read it?
I do not, because it would probably take multiple screenshots. But
it does take multiple screenshots.
Yeah. So it says, "Hello, everybody." Again, speech.
Oh.
Weird. So I may have given a lot of people a surprise today. Let me start off by apologizing to everyone whose trust I abused. I apologize to my parents for saying I had an interview without specifying it was for Most Wanted. I apologize to my colleagues and students for saying I had a personal emergency. By the time anyone reads this, I probably most certainly do need to go to the ER, but can hardly call that a self-inflicted status. I apologize to all of the people I traveled next to, all the workers who handled my luggage, and all the other non-targeted people at the hotel who I put in danger by simply being near. I apologize to everyone who was abused and or murdered before this, to all those who suffered before I was able to attempt this, to all who may still suffer after, regardless of my success or failure. I don't expect forgiveness, but if I could have seen any other way to get this close, I would have taken it. Again, my sincere apologies. On to why I did any of this. I'm a citizen of the United States of America. What my representatives do reflects on me, and I am no longer willing to permit a pedophile, rapist, and traitor to coat my hands with his crimes. Well, to be completely honest, okay.
Pause.
I mean,
pause.
That's basically a CNN segment. That's Ted
Well,
Lieu.
It's almost word for word what Ted Lieu had to
It's
say.
in the Epstein files thousands and thousands of times. In those files, there's highly disturbing allegations of Donald Trump raping children, of Donald Trump threatening to kill children.
I mean, the words of his own representative, because where he comes from is Ted Lieu's district.
Uh-oh.
Go ahead, continue.
So then in parentheses, he puts, well, to be completely honest.
Thousands.
Uh-oh. In parentheses, it says, well, to be completely honest, I was no longer willing a long time ago but this is the first real opportunity I've had to do something about it. While I'm discussing this, I'll also go over my expected rules of engagement, probably in a terrible format, but I'm not military, so too bad. Administration officials, not including Mr. Patel, they are targets prioritized from highest ranking to lowest. Secret Service, they are targets only if necessary and to be incapacitated non-lethally if possible, aka I hope they're wearing body armor because center mass with shotguns messes up people who aren't.
Is it out of line for me to put him on the screen while you're reading this?
It's
Okay,
not
I'm
at
going to
all.
leave this up here so you guys can see the beta cuck that wrote this.
Yes. Hotel security, not targets if at all possible, aka unless they shoot at me. Capitol Police, same as hotel security. National Guard, same as hotel security. Hotel employees, not targets at all. Guests, not targets at all. In order to minimize casualties, I will also be using buckshot rather than slugs. How nice of him. Less penetration through walls. I would still go through most everyone here to get to the targets if it were absolutely necessary, on the basis that most people chose to attend a speech by a pedophile, rapist, and traitor and are thus complicit. But I really hope it doesn't come to that. Also note the fact that I'm pretty sure Don Lemon had a video in a car that was saying almost the exact same thing, that if you attend this event, you're basically, I think he even used the word complicit, and he was encouraging the press not to go. So that's weird. Rebuttals to objections. Objection 1, as a Christian, you should turn the other cheek. Rebuttal. Turning the other cheek is for when you yourself are oppressed. I'm not the person raped in a detention camp. I'm not the fisherman executed without trial. I'm not a school kid blown up or a child starved or a teenage girl abused by the many criminals in this administration. This is literally all the left's talking points. The fishermen on those drug running boats, weird. Not a single one of those people were innocent fishermen, for the record. Also,
he's a big follower of Aaron Rupar. He literally just read Aaron Rupar posts. Like,
this is nuts. Like, this is actually like propaganda talking points from the left repeated in this. Just like the school shooter in Tennessee that was trans. All the CRT self-hating stuff. That's because that's what the school taught them. Okay. Turning the other cheek, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Rebuttal. I need whoever thinks this is this way to take a couple minutes and realize that the world isn't about them. Do you think that when I see someone raped or murdered or abused, I should walk on by because it would be inconvenient for people who aren't the victim?
Well, they sure as hell didn't care about the 40,000 Iranian citizens that were raped and murdered just a few months ago.
And this is the turning the other cheek rebuttal. He doesn't agree with turning the other cheek. This was the best timing and chance of success I could come up with. Objection 3, you didn't get them all. Rebuttal, got to start somewhere. Objection 4, as a half black, half white person, you shouldn't be the one doing this. Rebuttal, I don't see anyone else picking up the slack. Objection 5.
They tried.
Yeah. Objection 5, yield unto Caesar what is Caesar's. Rebuttal, the United States of America are ruled by the law, not by any one or several people. Insofar as representatives and judges do not follow the law, no one is required to yield them anything so unlawfully ordered. I would also like to
Jesus was talking about paying taxes, you moron.
Yeah. I would also like to extend my appreciation to a great many people, since I will not be likely to be able to talk with them again unless the Secret Service is astoundingly, with stars on either side, incompetent. Thank you to my family.
Or wanted to keep you alive.
Right. Thank you to my family, both personal and church, for your love over these 31 years. Thank you to my friends for your companionship over many years. Thank you to my colleagues over many jobs for your positivity and professionalism. Thank you to my students for your enthusiasm and love of learning. Thank you to the many acquaintances I've met in person and online for short interactions and long-term relationships, for your perspectives and inspiration. Thank you all for everything. Sincerely, Cole Cold Force, friendly federal assassin Allen. P.S. Okay, now that all the sappy stuff is done, what the hell is the Secret Service doing? Sorry, gonna rant a bit here and drop the formal tone. Like, I expected security cameras at every bend, bugged hotel rooms, armed agents every 10 feet, metal detectors out the wazoo. What I got, who knows, maybe they're pranking me, is nothing. No damn security, not in transport, not in the hotel, not in the event. Like, one thing that I immediately noticed walking into the hotel is the sense of arrogance. I walk in with multiple weapons and not a single person there considers the possibility that I could be a threat. The security at the event, it's almost like people don't look at people that are half white, half black and automatically think, oh no, they're a threat. Weird. He almost just like destroyed the liberal narrative.
I don't want to hear any more of this bullshit. Hey, I got a message for you, dude.
It's almost over. It's almost over. Where was I? Okay. He said, like, this level of incompetence is insane, and I very sincerely hope it's corrected by the time this country gets actually competent leadership again. Like, if I was an Iranian agent instead of an American citizen, I could have brought a damn Medusa in here, and no one would have noticed shit. Whatever. Actually insane. Oh, and if anyone is curious is how doing something like this feels, it's awful. I want to throw up. I want to cry for all the things I wanted to do and never will. For all the people whose trust this betrays, I experience rage thinking about everything this administration has done. Can't really recommend it. Stay in school, kids.
This is a feature, not a bug, folks.
This
is a feature.
Two things for him, right? One, security obviously wasn't that bad because your ass got fucking caught. Like, by like 10 guns. Number two,
he got caught. Yeah, he got
Number
caught.
two, listen to me. Look at me. Hey, pick your head up off the deck. Look at me. Hey, give me that dude. Hey, look at me. Look at me. You're not the good guy in this situation. Okay. You are not the good guy. You're the dumbass who believed a bunch of lies, and now you're going to spend the rest of your life in prison because you did something really stupid that you are physically, mentally, and constitutionally incapable of actually carrying out because you're a fucking pansy. You're a loser. And you're going to spend the rest of your life in prison. And you're going to, you know what? I really, really hope you have a very, very large and super friendly cellmate. You're not the good guy, and you're going to find out exactly what that means for the rest of your life.
Don't drop the soap.
All right. With that, we are a wrap, folks. We will see you on Wednesday. And if you guys remember, last week we closed with a Wednesday episode with a brand new out video. So we'll see you Wednesday, 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central at all the places. Make sure that you subscribe, you hit the like buttons, you share, do all that stuff. One thing that you're going to...
Leave a comment as you watch the replay. Come back, watch the replay, leave a comment.
Yep. All right. We're out, folks. We'll see you Wednesday.
Oh, we're not quite out yet.
Oh, and are you bringing it up?
We're going. Maybe. It's not playing.
And we can't unmute.
Fail.
Dude. All right. I'll bring it up.
There it goes.
Trading sacred liberties for power, gold, and twisted dreams. From the broken borders to the fields our forefathers tilled. The enemy is prowling, truth is silenced, honor killed. But I'm a patriot source, forged in fire, standing tall. Bible as my sword and Old Glory as my core. No the holy name. The serpent weaves through statutes, twisting justice into chains. Yet with God as our commander, victory still remains. Yeah, I'm a Patriot Source, forging fire, standing tall. Bible as my sword and Old Glory as my call. No apologies for loving this blood-bought land. We'll charge the gates of darkness with the fire of the righteous stand. God bless the USA. We'll never bend nor break. Patriots of freedom, warriors wide awake. So arm your heart with courage. Let your spirit mount the steed. Ride against the shadows. Truth and justice we decree.